Hi friends, it's me. It's a Sunday afternoon and I obviously have not put on makeup or done my hair today, and I'm wearing one of my favorite Beatles shirts, but I just wanted to relax today. And I also have I've got some cleaning to do and basic chores. So, and you can see I need a haircut pretty bad. I was supposed to go to get a haircut this past weekend, Friday, but I thought I had strep throat, came back negative, yay! So I canceled that hair appointment. So today I'm going to show you a different type of lettering. It's really basic. It's not anything that's fancy, but I am going to be using an alcohol pen, so I need a buffer page, and you can see this has some messiness on it. You will need a gray kind of marker, or fine line marker, and whatever color you choose. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to flip this down a little bit so you can see. There's my paper. I'm going to put my buffer page in between so that it doesn't bleed through onto my other pages. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch out the word I want to do. So in this case, I want to do the word love. So the cool thing about this that I really like is I know I'm using graph paper. One of the reasons I really like graph paper is because I can use it to make sure that all of my letters are relatively the same size. So this is off kilter kind of writing, so it doesn't have to be the exact same type of size if I don't want it to be, but in this case I want it to be somewhat similar. However, if it's a little bit over or under, it's okay. So, there we go. I have the word love sketched out. So, and then I want to make sure I have my circle done here. So, I'm going to do some overlapping with the letters. So, when I overlap the letters, you're going to see that it's going to be hard to read what it says. So, I'm just going to, wow, that red marker is not very thorough. So, I'm going to flip it over and use the brush side. There we go. It's just the tip is dry. So I'm going to color in my letters, just like I would normally. And they're going to overlap each other. So when I first started doing this, I was like, how are you supposed to distinguish the letters? Because if they're all over each other, that makes it really, really hard to see which letters are which. And I'm going to switch my pen here so the red... Oh, see, that's much better. My other pen is thirsty. So, I was like, what? How are you supposed to see them? This is a Copic marker. The cool thing with Copics is that when you use them, and you can see how this V over here, when I go over it a second time, it'll be darker. So with Copics, I actually wouldn't have to distinguish them, but I'm going to. So this is a technique that I learned from one of the books, many books that I've read, that I absolutely just love. It's really simple technique, but it looks really clean. So what I'm doing here is I'm outlining, well, I outlined the word already, but what I'm doing is I'm writing the word and I'm filling it in. So I have the word love. I know it's backwards probably on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide which letters I want to overlap where. So I want the O to stand out. So I'm going to outline that. And then I want the E to stand out. So the V becomes the background. So you can kind of see in here already that this V is going to be behind, and you can see how the Copics have sort of made that pop a little bit. So that's the first step. The next step is we're going to outline all the letters that we have with a nice fine tip black marker, so we see where it is overlapping. And it's okay if there's that little bit of white in there. That kind of gives it a imperfect look, which I like. And then my E was going to overlap my V there. Okay, so I have my letters done. Okay, so now one of the cool things about this is that what I like to do is I like to do a shading technique. So that's where I want to use my gray. And what I'm going to do is anything that is up against, like if I picture the sun being here, then everything that's on the left-hand side of my letters is going to be shaded. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to, anything that would be pushed up against here, I'm going to, on the left-hand side, I'm going to shade it so that it looks like a shadow is falling on it. And since that E is in front, I'm going to do that. Now the other thing is there would be shade on the bottom. So I'm going to throw shade on the bottom. I'm going to throw shade like that. There would also be on the bottom here and here. So now I've got my word outlined. But now my final thing I'm going to do is with my fine black marker, I'm going to go in and I'm going to write around it and I'm going to do the shape in as much detail as I possibly can. And it's okay if it's not perfect. And one of the things I like to do is I like to go back and do just a really quick like around it, and so it's not perfect, so it kind of has this sort of, you know, scribbly line around it. So now this would be a perfect type of embellishment I might use for a page that I was doing. So you can see it, there's the shading and it's like that. So I could just write this directly on a page, or if I wanted to, I could cut this out and I could use it as an embellishment. I can do it on cardstock or anything like that. And so it's one of my favorite tricks to do because it's large, it's embellished, it gives it three-dimensional. So I like all of those things about it. So basically, you don't necessarily have to have the alcohol markers. You can just do it with a regular Crayola marker. You can do them also with Sharpies, but you need to have, in order to do the shading, you do need to have a gray. I think Sharpie makes a gray, but I'm not sure. But I know Crayola does for sure. And then you need a fine point marker. So that's how to do shading and lettering.